speaker, Mr. Ashok sir. So he's a graduate of BSc and MCA from Bharathidasan University. He started his career as software engineer and he has 20 plus experience in CTS, Cognizant Services, from as a project manager to a CTO. So he is also a motivated mentor and business coach to impact young minds in the career development. He has been is passionate in strategic advisor, mentorship, and career coach. So we are glad to welcome you, sir. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Ashni. Thanks for the nice introduction. Let me just put my screen 1 second. Okay, is my slide is visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Hey, thank you all. Good morning and good evening. And I think people from multiple countries. First of all, my humble thanks to every one of you taking this time in the weekend, and you are all here not to get something, right? To give something to the younger versions of you. Okay, and I'm happy to connect with you all. In the next 20 to 30 minutes, I'm just going to share my experience of mentoring, right? In terms of who all mentored me and how they mentored me and why I have started mentoring others actually. Okay. Hopefully you'll have some takeaways from this sharing my experiences. And to get started with, these are my first heroes in my life, right? I'm sure you will all will agree that our parents were the first heroes, and they are the one who gave us all the necessary life skills, be it crawling, walking, running, speaking, anything, right? And most importantly, they gave us or they enabled us or supported us to become an human being, a better human being, and to lead us a life with the right kind of ethics and values, right? For me, my parents are my first inspirational leaders. Okay, and next to my home, right, where I spent most of my life is the school environment, and I can proudly say that I'm a product of government school. And more than studies, there are a lot of foundational capabilities and skills and attitudes I learned from these environments that help me in the later part of my professional life. Okay, be it taking risk and adapting to the changes and adjusting to various situations. To just give an example, in one of the year, my classroom got ceiling got damaged, and we had to spend the entire year in under the tree, correct? And going through those kind of challenges and adapting to that is a kind of help me when I face challenges in my professional career. Okay, and that's something unforgettable memories. I'm sure a lot of you would have had such experiences. While talking about school environment, there's no way that I can forget about some of the gems of teachers who shaped me as a person and also as a professional, right? Again, I'll go back to, and maybe as I talk about my experiences, I'm sure you will also remember some of the similar experiences that you had with your in the past life, actually, right? For example, one of the teachers who inspired me to start liking and passionately study math subject is something did not happen just because they were been teaching the subject, right? They have been teaching a subject so passionately that hooked me into liking the subject. I'm sure you all would have had such an experience in terms of having liking the subject because of certain teachers or something like that, correct? And one other teacher that I would like to recall here is Mr. Selvaraj, who was my tuition teacher. Okay, and talking about tuition, right? In the days we have grown up, I'm sure it might be applicable right now in 80s and 90s in the rural areas, especially for lower middle class. I'm sure that lower middle class would have got changed in the current situation. But those days, it is very important element as part of the education system that whether you are a first bencher or a Macaulay bencher, it doesn't matter. You'll have to go through the tuition system, right? And luckily for me, I went through that system with Mr. Selvaraj. Again, more than subjects and studies, right? What I uh, what I benefited from him working with him, I actually traveled with him not only during the school days, but even in the college days, right? Because he inspired me with his professionalism and the kind of behaviors, right? Just to talk about his personality, he was a very sincere government school teacher, and he took up other responsibilities, he used to have a business running in terms of newspaper agency, right? He used to work from morning 5 o'clock to 7 and ensuring that the distribution happens smoothly. And then he used to take up tuition classes in the morning and evening. And in the weekends, he used to go around the towns in the temples where he used to do a translation in Tamil inscriptions in the stones and walls of the temples. Okay. And the few things that, if at all, I have some of the capabilities, correct, in terms of empathy and in terms of multiplexity, and also passionately working on whatever I do, right? They all came from him actually, right? Even though he did many of the things, he was doing everything passionately. And being a strict teacher, right? Being a sincere, when I say sincere teacher, those days they used to be very strict actually, right? Even though he was a very strict teacher, but he was also very empathetic and he was carrying the people actually, right? The one incident that I can quote from my life is when I was in ninth standard, he did the one identified that I have a eye vision problem. Okay. And he took me to the doctor nearby the town, 15 kilometers away, and ensured that he also got me the spec, the first specs he got me that actually. Okay. And such a inspiring people, right? And that's something working with them day to day basis is something is what I feel that you basically receive and you shape up as a better human being actually, right? These aspects you don't get it by just teaching actually. Okay. And I'm sure you will have some of these kind of people you could be able to recollect it from your past experiences. And moving to my professional life, there was countless professionals, especially my seniors actually, correct? Starting from when I started my first year in my career, from all the way to even now, there are every stage there is a senior people who gave their wisdom to me and supported me in me excelling in my career growth actually. Okay, and talking about peers, there were a number of peers who pushed me when I got into a comfort zone. They pushed me when I was not confident about doing certain roles or something like that. Correct. For example, as I said, I was a government school product. I did my entire schooling in Tamil medium, so I was not good in communication. Okay, if at all I'm confidently speaking in front of you, that's something I would contribute my sincere thanks to my one of my peer Bona, who was with me in the initial part of the career, right? And she's the one who pushed me to keep going, and she supported and guided me and said that okay, you have the language skills. It's just a confidence that you'll have to go up and then speak out actually, correct? And I like that few friends, correct? They push me whenever I lacked something, correct? And talking about some of the inspiring leaders, okay, there are leaders from whom I imbibed some skills or some behaviors and attitudes by working with them, and few of them I kind of got it just by the inspiration actually, right? I would like to quote a couple of them. One, Mr. Vishwa, who was my first project manager in Cognizant Life. Okay, and till now I can say that in the last 30 years, I can say there is no one who has matched his professionalism in terms of applying project management practices more sincerely and passionately. Okay, and he was the one who kind of inspired me, and the guy who actually moved me from technology track to project management track. Otherwise, I would have stayed with technology track because I was a passionate techie, a coder actually. Okay, and 5 years later, I completed my PMP certification, and then I kind of started getting into a project management track. And the next one inspiring leader whom I have not directly worked with, but at a distance, I have observed him over 20 years of Cognizant life. And he is Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, who is the ex-CEO of Cognizant. And what I have only very few interactions with him, but I have observed him in terms of how he interacts with the customers, how he passionately connects with the people on the ground. And most importantly, my learning, what I apply it in my current professional life is the way he executed the business by giving a fine balance between the people aspects and the business aspects. And like this, I can keep going on. The people that who inspired me, who nurture and groom me as a person as well as a professional, right? What is it? Anything to do with today's topic of mentoring, right? If I have to visualize my the past phases of the life, right, as a movie, if I look back, the people that I talked about, the environments like a school, home, everything that I talked about played a very significant role in shaping me who I am today, right? But there are other hundreds of characters who played a role in my personal life movie, right? For another few examples, if I have to quote, there is a father, my father's colleague, who helped me to get into a college, right? And there was an uncle who helped me whenever I had get into some challenges, situation, something like that, right? And in those school days, vacations, I used to spend times with different kind of people. One year, I used to spend time with a bicycle repair shop. I used to spend day and days, the entire month or something like that, right? I observed how the business happens, how they technically solving the problems or something like that. And there are other years, my street was completely filled with silk saree weaving people, correct? I was doing a helping job for a month or something like that during the summer vacation or something like that, correct? Like that, there are many people played a character or supporting roles. If I look back my previous phases of life as a movie, right? The reason I brought this concept of movie because if you look at in Indian movies, correct, there's a very significant and visible roles like villain, hero, heroine, and very few roles is very visibly made, correct. But there are you can see that there are many other like 5 or 50 other characters comes into the script, okay. But if you closely watch in those characters, there is one or few characters who actually plays the role of mentor. Okay, and the character that pushes the hero to get what the hero wants, or guides a hero to ensure that he achieves what he wanted to achieve, or something like that, correct? And that's something in Indian movies it is not well portrayed as a mentor role. Okay, unlike in Hollywood movies, correct? The character like Yoda in Star Wars, Mr. Miyagi in Karate Kid series, and Morpheus in Matrix, correct? There are many such examples in Hollywood movies. There is a significant importance given to the role called mentor. Okay. The reason I connected with this as I look back in my own life movie, correct? There were thousands of characters played in that different supporting characters, but I have only recognized very few of them as my mentors actually, correct? And if I look back, why I have not recognized others, but why I have only recognized few, it is just for this one reason that these people help me to become a hero in my own life movie. Okay. Uh, don't you all agree that each one of us have an inner craving to become a hero in our own family, or in our own friends circle, or in our own society, or in our own, even in work environment actually, correct? We all aching for to become a hero. So the people who helps us, guides us, support us to make us as hero, we recognize them as our mentors actually. Okay. Looking at the formal definition of what is mentor, as per dictionary, right? It says training and advising, correct? To me, even though it is technically it might be correct. Mentoring as a process, it is not about training and advising. Okay, it is even though it might be the end product or the outcome of the mentoring, but from an approach perspective, it has to be at subtle level, right? The training advising happens as a byproduct rather than as a focused activity. Okay, just to give a comparison, correct? I would say mentoring is like a meditation. Okay, as you all know, meditation is not something you can do, right? You just get into a meditative state. Okay, so like this, mentoring to me is something happens behind the scene as you do some activity, correct? It could be in terms of as you do work, correct? You might be mentoring somebody. As you converse with some people, you might be mentoring. As you write some blogs or you write some books or something like that, you might be mentoring somebody, correct? So I look at mentoring is not an activity. It is something that happens at a subtle level, right? And this is what I learned from my mentors actually, right? Mentoring is all about supporting and encouraging the people to give their best potential to achieve what they want. So mentoring is all about what the mentee wants actually, correct? It is not something what we know or what we can give actually, correct? Just to quote some popular mentor mentees actually, correct? So just to give an idea of how the mentoring works in the system, correct? Shivaji Rao would not have become Rajinikanth without a Balachandar, right? I'm sure that every one of you might be knowing the Tamil movie context, okay? And similarly, Jayalalitha and NGR mentor-mentee relationship, correct? And Steve Jobs mentored Mark Zuckerberg during the early stages of Facebook, right? And even for Mahatma Gandhi, right? Gopalakrishna Gokhale mentored him in terms of he understanding the common man issues in India, right? When he entered into the freedom fighting, okay. And on the other hand, for Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi became a mentor actually, correct? And then mentorship happens only through he reading Mahatma Gandhi's books actually, correct? So the reason I quoted these examples is for you to understand mentoring is not a structured process. Okay, it doesn't have any structure, and it can have it can take in different forms. It can be done in different ways and different approaches actually. Okay, as I said, between Balachandar and Rajinikanth, it happened as part of their work actually. Okay. Whereas if you look at it between Mandela and Gandhi, it happened just by the inspiration actually, right? And with that, let me talk about how I have started mentoring people actually. Okay. I would like to categorize these as a three phases. Okay. In the mid 20s to 30s. Okay. Where I have become a little more knowledgeable in my industry. Right. I started mentoring, and at that stage, I didn't know. Even I don't think I even knew the word mentor actually. Right. But looking back, I could see that I was actually mentoring a lot of younger professionals, my younger versions actually at the time, correct? So I called it as a passive mentoring that I was been doing it actually, correct? And then from mid 30s to 40s, I started consciously doing the mentoring because at that stage, as I become a senior manager and leadership roles I took, I started receiving feedbacks from people. I started seeing people valuing the conversation and me sharing the experiences or something like that, or guiding them in terms of taking up their career path or something like that, correct? So I started consciously doing it. But while doing it consciously, I was been very conscious that it has to be subtle actually, correct? It should not come out like training or advising. I hope all of you will agree that none of us will like the advice, correct? Even from our parents, actually, correct? So that's a key thing, correct? And we'll have to ensure that we keep it at subtle level, actually. Okay. Then when I tried to take a call of moving out of my prime career, okay, at the age of 43, I decided to quit my prime career. I started, I planned to do something, whatever I was passionate about it, actually, right? And mentoring become one of my passion, and I chose that as a profession, actually, okay? So that I call it as a third phase, where I took up mentoring as a professional aspect, actually, okay? The reason I divided this into three phases because the professional mentoring is something is very relevant in the current context. The reason being, in the professional mentoring, we mentor people who are strangers to us. Okay. In the first two phases, active and passive phases, we actually mentor people whom we already know each other, and we have some relationship or something like that, right? In the third phase, like how you are going to mentor the students, uh, each of you is going to be strangers, actually, correct? And this brings a lot of challenges, actually, correct? One doesn't know what to expect from others, whether being comfortable with each other or something like that. So from that perspective, based on my past 5 6 years of interacting with strangers, correct? So these are my suggestions, actually, correct? In terms of again, I would put it again, make it very clear that it has to be subtle, correct, in terms of what we want to mentor, and it has to be bi-directional, correct? The success of mentoring will be completely depending on both the mentor and mentees, correct? From a mentor side, we have to ensure that we come out as an inspiring professional, right? Whatever the area that we would like to be mentoring people, and the mentee has to see them as an inspiring professional, right? And second and most important one is trustworthy. In the first few conversations that we have with the mentee, right, we have to give the comfort that they feel we are trustworthy, right? They can discuss with any of the challenges they have, actually, okay? And third and most important thing is we are easy to approach, right? And so these are the three important things that we'll have to ensure that we communicate or convey that message to the mentees. And from the mentee perspective, again, correct, they have to ensure that first foremost thing is they have to accept the other person as a mentor, okay? And that acceptance comes in with a clarity of what they need, actually, okay? So they need to be very clear in terms of what they expect from the mentor, correct? And mentor also needs to be comfortable with giving what the mentee wants, actually, correct? It's not always that there's going to be a 100% match in terms of what mentee wants and what a mentor wants, actually, correct? In those scenarios where mentor is not the right person to mentor, he should be able to guide the mentee to approach another mentor or somebody who might be able to give that kind of help, actually, or support, correct? And that's the first thing. The second thing is the respect. The mentee has to respect the time and effort spent by the mentor, actually, correct? And it can be reciprocated in terms of following it up with the mentor and taking up some actions, correct? And coming back with how they felt doing that action or something like that, correct? And when both persons, correct, a mentor and mentee, when these aspects happens over the first few interactions, correct? And that is where the relationship blossoms, actually, correct? As Valen said in the initial part of the conversation, that treat them like sisters and brothers, actually, correct? So that kind of relationship and comfort when it comes between the people, it is not always that mentor has to offer what the mentee wants, actually, correct? He can still be a guide or somebody who can just point out the right source of channel where the mentee can get the inputs and suggestions, actually, okay? And talk about why I have chosen mentoring as a professional, right, activity, right? This is something I decided 6 7 years back, right? The reason, fundamentally, the reason is as I matured as a professional, as I got all the basic needs, and as per the Maslow theory, right, I kind of got into a self-actualization phase, actually, at the time, right, in my early 40s, actually, okay? So that's when I started feeling that maybe I need to give back something to my mentors, actually, right? And when I look back, most of my mentors who were in my near vicinity, right, they were all givers, actually. They were not receivers, actually, right? And there was no way that I can give back to them. That is one thing. And even if there were some of the mentors whom I can give back actually, right? But I did not have a way of measuring how much to give to settle back the account actually, right? And I felt there is no way that I can measure in terms of the value and the benefits I received with their support and guidance at that stage actually, right? And that is one thing. Other thing is there are few other mentors whom they are no more in the scene and situations actually. They completely changed and may not even, I don't even have an access to them actually right now, right? So that's when I decided that I will dedicate few hours in a week or something like that, right? To see how I can give back to my younger generations and versions whom I can provide whatever that experience that I gained actually. And this is something I wanted to do it is a way of paying back to my mentors actually. Okay. And over the period, correct, again, it become my passion, correct? Doing the mentoring is something is becoming my passion. So I kind of reprioritize even on top of my professional responsibilities in some terms actually. Okay. The reason being, it just gives me a kick actually, correct? When I solve someone's problem or when I help someone to overcome some challenges or something like that, it just gives me that kick actually. Okay. And in terms of looking at they succeeding or they are overcoming the challenges, correct? And when they become hero in their own life actually, correct? And that just gives me that kind of a kick actually, correct? And as I said again, it's a payback period, correct? And I feel that it is a way to give payback to my mentors. And again, in terms of the satisfaction I get while giving it actually, correct? I think I am sure that you all would have experienced that actually. When you give it, you get some satisfaction that you may not even get in a professional activities actually, correct? And those are the reasons why I have taken this as a passionate activity. And just I've collected these the greater qualities of mentors based on whatever that I've observed from my mentors actually, correct? And they are well accomplished people. They are very inspirational and they are very patient and they're very active listener and unconditional givers. Okay, and they act selflessly and they are very solution focused. They don't focus on the problems and they show the way ahead actually. Okay, and this is something I'm trying to acquire these abilities and skills actually. Okay, I'm on my journey to acquire these capabilities. I welcome you all to join me in this journey to acquire these capabilities and become a great mentor. I'll end this talk with this great quote from Newton, Isaac Newton. According to him, if I have seen further than others, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. Okay, we all know how much achiever Isaac Newton in the mathematics and science area, correct? And if he is able to, if he is saying this actually, correct, which means even as I said in the previous slides, Mahatma itself had a mentor actually, correct? If that's the case, you know that how many shoulders that we would have stood up on, correct? And with that, I'll tell you that my request, correct, to all of you is as we have stood up on many shoulders, correct? Maybe it's a time for us to give our shoulders to see others to see the world further. Okay, and that way we can all play a mentor's role in their life movie. Okay, with that, I want to take this moment to communicate my sincere gratitude to all the greater souls who shaped me, who I am today. Okay, and I feel blessed to be part of this community. And as I said, you all give us today, and you all spending the valuable time of you, your personal and professional time. And I feel blessed, and thanks for this opportunity to connect with you all.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really overwhelming. It is really wonderful to meet a person like you who chose mentorship as a profession. I hope that many would have got mentored directly and indirectly, as you have mentioned in the session as well. So thank you so much. Um, Next, we would move to the power up session. So I would like to invite Meenakshi ma'am, electronics and communication engineering graduate of 1998 batch for a power up session. She is an active LinkedIn member, guiding many with her valuable insights. So we invite you to share